The client event at one of the companies that we bought in Dallas was a crawfish broil. Well, great. That works really well. All the clients show up, all the employees show up. If we try to do that in our Washington, D.C. office, it's probably not getting a whole lot of attendance, right? So you want to maintain that local culture, right? You want to maintain those things that the clients look forward to, the employees look forward to. At the same time, you want to instill a corporate culture because ultimately, you're not building a bunch of siloed businesses, you're building a cohesive organization. So finding that healthy balance, super important, definitely part of what's helped make us successful.
Folks, I am so excited to welcome Chris Fulmino, SVP and Head of Corporate Development at Dataprise, to M&A Insights. Since 2020, Dataprise has been rapidly transforming itself from a regional IT managed service provider to one with a national footprint with operations in the Mid-Atlantic states, Texas, California, Colorado, and North Carolina, just to name a few. And Chris has been at the center of it all. Chris will share with us some of the main ways in which smaller MSPs benefit by being part of the larger platform and how founders and stakeholders can benefit from that transition and collaboration. And Chris should know, over the past few years, Dataprise has successfully integrated 9 MSPs and grown itself to a company with over 300 employees and well over $100 million in revenues. But first, before we go any further, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. My name is Madhur Dugar. I work in the IT and software M&A space, and this is my podcast series, M&A Insights. If you are interested in having a conversation around the strategic direction of your firm, are looking to grow your book and want some marketing and business development help, or are an investor looking to make an acquisition in the space, write to me at podcastwithmadhur, that's MADHUR, @gmail.com, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Christian, welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for joining. Tell us a little bit of background about Dataprise and your role.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Happy to do it. Pleasure to speak as always. So Dataprise is a founder-led MSP that was sold to Trinity Hunt Partners very beginning of 2020. I joined about 2 years later, really kind of coming out of the pandemic when the acquisitions were starting to pick back up. Company was primarily located in the Washington, D.C. through New York City, kind of mid-Atlantic region prior to being acquired. But since then, we've made 9 acquisitions and really have grown the company both in the depth and breadth of products and services that we offer, as well as geographic footprint with now MSPs in Texas and Colorado and California and North Carolina, really kind of broadening our footprint.
Mm-hmm. And I know we've spoken several times before about the opportunities, right, that being part of a larger platform brings to an MSP. And so we said, you know what, we need to do a podcast about this to really put together our thoughts and make sure other people understand this as well. So that's really the topic of our podcast here. But big picture, right, from a high level perspective, what are 2 or 3 key strategic advantages that a medium-sized MSP gets out of joining a bigger platform like yours?
Sure. Yeah, I think the 3 that come to mind to me is one, the set of products and services that you can offer. Mm-hmm. So many of the MSPs that I speak to do some subset of what we do here at Dataprise, and that's great. They do remote managing and monitoring of computers and patching and security updates, and they likely have a service desk of some kind, and they handling level 1, mm-hmm. level 2, level 3 concerns. They may do cyber, they may not. Mm-hmm. If they do cyber, they're probably reselling somebody's service as opposed to having their own in-house SOC and in-house NOC. These things require scale. Mm-hmm. So products and services for sure, just being able to offer a complete solution to your clients, whether those clients be SMB or mid-enterprise, you really want to be able to service their IT needs end to end. Mm-hmm. Second thing that comes to mind would really be on the go-to-market side. So a truly built out scaled sales and marketing team is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the businesses, again, that we see in the marketplace that are founder led and kind of built from the ground up have very limited go-to-market resources. A lot of times it is the owner, sometimes the owner and one or two dedicated salespeople. And those people tend to play both a sales and marketing role. Now, they don't have a marketing team that's giving them, marketing qualified leads. They're really starting from the ground up and building those leads themselves. So I think in a more scaled operation, you'll have marketing that generates leads, and you'll have salespeople that are following up on those leads and closing. And then the last one, and I think this is less industry specific, but more just offloading of admin functions. So if we can free up cycles for a talented business owner to focus on growth and take things like accounts payable and billing and accounts receivable and HR and legal, and take those things off their plate, that creates cycles where they can really focus on growing the business. So if you combine those extra cycles with a robust go-to-market plan and team, and give them a more complete set of products and services to sell, that's how you grow beyond what they were able to grow on their own.
Yeah. So let's double click on some of these, because, by the way, we ran a survey on LinkedIn of MSPs, and one of the questions we asked them was, we asked clients basically, what are the top things that you look for in your MSPs, right? And number one on that list was industry expertise. They really need to understand the vertical that the client is in. And the second thing on that list was the ability to be able to be a one-stop service provider for all of the client's needs, and that goes really to your point that you were talking about, the variety of products and services that you can bring to your client is, not only is it a good revenue enhancer, I mean, clients view this as an essential service, as an essential expectation that they're increasingly having, to be able to bring all those things to bear. Go to market, 100%, see it all the time. The founder is trying to wear too many hats at the same time, or doesn't necessarily have a passion for doing that. And it's really an advanced skill that they really need to be doing very well. In fact, they need to have a team for that. And they often are not set up to do that at all. And then finally, yes, I mean, you can't really be focusing on growth if you are spending your entire time dealing with admin cycles and, operational, log jams, if you will. So three really, really great points. Just digging, a little bit more on kind of the sales and marketing aspect of things, right? What are some of the things that you, as a larger platform, can bring to the table in that space that really help, founders enhance their value?
Yeah, so I'll tackle sales and marketing separately. So on the marketing side, again, for most founder-led MSPs, it's missing, right? They may have done marketing exercises where they brought a third-party firm in and they worked on search engine optimization, or they brought a firm in to change their color scheme or revamp their logo and work on messaging. But the day-to-day marketing activities of like working with the team to how do we help you grow in your market? How do we reach your end clients, especially MSPs that are focused on the SMB market? How do you reach all SMBs? It's tough, right? The people that run your gamut of businesses that are on Main Street USA are not all in the same place, right? You can't go to an industry conference and find them all. So just a team that can work with you on, okay, I want to double down on my expertise in, let's just say, healthcare. I've gotten a couple of good healthcare client wins, and I want to use that to attract others. Well, having a marketing team, you can design that campaign. Our marketing team will work with you. And okay, in Houston, we are going to spend 3 months on a healthcare focused campaign. That doesn't mean that we're not industry agnostic. It just means that this quarter we're going to focus on growth here. And I think that's the other thing is when you're at scale, you can have real expertise, but still be industry agnostic, right? When you only have 200 customers, hard to say you can develop, you can be industry agnostic and develop expertise. If you have 2,000 customers and you have 200 healthcare clients, you probably have developed a pretty good set of expertise in that industry, but you're still serving customers across a whole bunch of industries.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I see it. That's just in general true about the sales and marketing role, is that the quality of the conversation that you can have with a client, right, is so much richer if the number of stories and anecdotes that you can bring to that conversation are bigger. And by just being a part of the larger platform, you are collecting more stories, more experiences, more
you
touch points.
learn to speak their language, right? If you can go in
Absolutely.
and talk their language, you're much more likely to win that business.
Yeah.
On the sales side, I think it's a number of things. One, having your salespeople, whether that's 1, 2, 3, or 5, doesn't really matter, but having them being managed by a sales professional as opposed to a business owner. It's just a different mindset. It's all they do. It's their sole focus. But also having them be part of a team. Salespeople do thrive in that competitive environment. That's why they do what they do. So having a sales team in, Houston, that's competitive with the sales team in Denver, because, hey, we want to have the most new logo wins, or we want to do the best with expanding our existing base, whatever the focus happens to be. That competitive spirit that helps drive sales teams.
Yeah. I can see them getting all galvanized to hit certain targets to, outdo the other team, if nothing more than just for the fun of it. But on the operational efficiency side, we've talked about the importance of economies of scale in certain businesses, right? And how that can really only be leveraged if you're part of a larger organization. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this industry, there's a couple of really good examples. So take help desk, right? Every MSP is going to need a help desk function of some sort. Most smaller MSPs, they have a true help desk from, call it 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And after that, they wake up Joe, right? Joe's the on-call person. He gets a call. He wakes up. He handles it. That's okay for some period of time, but that doesn't really scale, right? Once you start to wake Joe up 5-6 times a night, Joe's going to leave. But it's very hard to make that jump where you have enough business, because 5-6 calls a night probably doesn't justify a 24/7 help desk. So how do you close that gap? One of the things a larger MSP platform can say is, okay, well, you keep your help desk from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. when you actually have it staffed, and after hours we can bounce those calls to a national help desk. And, because we're all integrated and we're on the same, ITSM and ticketing systems, we can open that ticket. If it's simple and something we can resolve that ticket. And if not, when Joe shows up at the office at 8 a.m. the next morning, that ticket will be there and they can resolve it then. That starts to become scalable.
Yep.
You take something like the SOC. So a security operations center requires scale, right? You have to staff it with a number of skill sets. You have to staff it 24/7, 365. So that's why most small MSPs are reselling, one of the many products out there, because to do it themselves without scale is very, very difficult. To do it profitably without scale is next to impossible. So again, you join a platform and now you have 2,000 or 3,000 clients that are running through that SOC. That becomes a viable option. And now you can start to differentiate yourself instead of just reselling what everybody else is doing, having something in-house that can really be customized to what the client needs.
Yeah. And so now let's take a step back. If I'm an MSP, I hear these benefits of working at of being part of a larger organization. But one says, well, if I've already sold myself out to this larger MSP, how do I get to cash in? How do I get to benefit from these advantages, right? How should an MSP be thinking about that? MSP founder should be thinking about that.
Sure. So I think, for one is the company, the employees, and the customers. How are they benefit? And then of course the owner. How do they benefit? So I think starting with the owner, right? Our model, and I think a lot of the companies that are in the market and buying MSPs, the model is for that owner to roll some equity forward, right? So they're going to take some chips off the table day one, but they're going to roll some portion of that purchase price, into an investment into the larger entity. So that's how they benefit, is that,
Mm-hmm.
that they are now part of a entity that's, one, growing way faster than they could have grown on their own,
Mm-hmm.
has all the benefits of scale. And
Mm-hmm.
down the road, when there's an exit event, that equity will be worth far more, than it was when they when they originally contributed. So that's how they'll benefit financially. As far as their employees and their customers, well, the customers are certainly going to benefit from more products and services that they can take advantage of, a higher level of expertise. The best cyber people probably don't want to work at an MSP with 200 clients. Right?
Yeah.
They probably want to work at an MSP with 2,000 clients, where they're going to get to see a whole lot more incidents, a whole lot more different industries,
Mm-hmm.
just a different number of events, and be able to grow, and expand. So that's on the client side. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the employee side, career opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
making it more than just a job, but an actual career with a career path. And that career path doesn't necessarily just mean vertically. A small MSP with 30 employees only has so many opportunities, and you can have a rock star, but if he or she is in the number 2 spot and their boss isn't going anywhere, you just don't have a spot to move them into for a career progression. Likely at some point that person leaves, right? And they go get that next level job somewhere else where there is a spot.
Yeah.
A larger scaled platform is going to have more spots and more opportunities, but also have an HR team that has somebody dedicated to career development.
Mm-hmm.
Working with those employees to say, what do you want to do next in your career? Because just because you're a level 1 help desk person doesn't mean you want to be a level 3 help desk person one day. It might mean, hey, this is how I got into the industry, and now that I'm here, I really love DRAS, and I want to do disaster recovery as a service. I want to learn that. Okay, great. Well, it's more a horizontal move than a vertical move, but it's the opportunity to keep that good employee, give them challenges, and help them grow.
Yep. So we talk about here, advantages to the founder by virtue of their being able to roll over some equity, and the benefits of being as part of a larger platform for employees and clients, because they basically have more growth options, more optionality to be able to have, and so therefore they're likely to attract just better quality employees. One of the advantages I also feel is access to capital, right? To take advantage of growth options in the business when they do come around, which might be stickier for a smaller organization, but much more readily available for a larger organization. Do you think that's true? And can you discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the advantage of having a private equity, backer is that you do have that opportunity to tap into capital that an entrepreneur that started the business likely doesn't have. And that capital, I mean, we're talking about M&A, so certainly that capital is what fuels the M&A engine, right? The ability to go out and buy the best MSPs in the key markets that you want to be in is certainly a plus. But I don't think it ends there. The ability to invest in internal projects and build for growth. Build for growth might mean new products and capabilities. It might mean just say, hey, I have the opportunity to win 10 new clients next year. Let me staff up. Let me have capacity to actually be able to take on that work. Because ultimately, if you don't have it, it takes time to get it, and you might not be able to bid on a project that you otherwise could have won because you just don't have the capacity. The ability to onboard, have enough resources to onboard work once it's sold and onboard it quickly. If you have a potential client that is not renewing their contract with their current MSP, and it ends in 30 days, guess what? If you can't onboard them in 30 days, you're not an option. So I think there's lots of reasons why having that capital to be able to invest, whether that means M&A, hiring for growth or building out new capabilities, all really value added and just oftentimes very difficult to access if you don't have a bigger platform that you're part of.
Yep. I think one of the other aspects that are also so important are really around issues with regulatory compliance, right? And being on top of what is coming around the corner and providing assurance, I would think that larger platforms would do that like much better than smaller ones would. Probably are better informed, probably have some say in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also comes down to that whole scale and defraying the cost across a bigger set of clients. So for example, there are going to be clients that are going to require you to have certain certifications in order to even be in the running to win that business. Mm-hmm. So, if you have clients that are, on the FedRAMP at all, contractors to government agencies, they're likely going to require you to be CMMC level 1 and soon CMMC level 2. That's a big investment in both time, money, resources. If you're a small MSP, that's probably difficult. It's difficult to justify taking that much of your staff and dedicating them to a project to potentially win a customer down the road. Same with the various ISO certifications, 20,001, 27,001, 9,001. These are all certifications that some mid-enterprise size clients are going to require. Certainly some state and local government clients are going to require. And again, the ability to get those and have a team that's focused on not only getting them, but maintaining them is very, very valuable to not only as a sales and marketing employee, but I mean, these certifications do bring your level of service and security. And, there's a reason they're set up the way they are. They do help you operate better.
Yeah. Okay. So lots of advantages, right? Culture is a big thing though. And, managing integration of a company into your own company and dealing with cultural integration has got to be something that plays on your minds as well as the minds of the companies you're buying. Walk us a little bit through how you at Dataprise deal with cultural integration and medium-sized MSPs into your larger organization.
Sure. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there, right? I mean, culture is hugely important, right? This is not buying a car, driving it off the lot, and never dealing with that salesperson again, right? This is a partnership. Yeah. Yes, one company's acquiring the other, but ultimately we are working together, and we're working together not to stay stagnant, but to grow. And to do that, you really need, not only to retain the employees, but for those employees to be motivated and happy with the decision, right? So yes, culture is hugely important. If you're going to do one deal, could you spend a year merging cultures and kind of taking two cultures that maybe didn't align and finding a happy middle ground? Maybe. It wouldn't be easy, but maybe. But if you're doing 4 to 6 deals a year, you absolutely have to think about culture before you make the decision to move forward with an acquisition. So we are looking for companies that are culturally aligned, companies that think about their employees and think about their customers, in the same way that we do, because that's ultimately going to, help us make 1 + 1 = 5 and not 2. It's also important to acknowledge that the reason that you're interested in the company that you're talking to is that they're successful, right? We're not buying fixer-uppers, we're buying successful businesses. So their culture is what made them successful to begin with. So you have to find a healthy balance of, yes, you're going to integrate, but from a cultural perspective, you want to have some corporate culture, but you also want to maintain their local culture. I think a good example of that is something like their client events. Most MSPs have some type of client event every year, bring their clients together. It's a good retention tool. It's an opportunity to get in front of clients, potentially let them know other things that you do that maybe you don't do for them. The client event at one of the companies that we bought in Dallas was a crawfish broil. Well, great. That works really well. All the clients show up, all the employees show up. If we try to do that in our Washington, D.C. office, it's probably not getting a whole lot of attendance, right? So you want to maintain that local culture, right? You want to maintain those things that the clients look forward to, the employees look forward to. At the same time, you want to instill a corporate culture because ultimately, you're not building a bunch of siloed businesses, you're building a cohesive organization. So finding that healthy balance, super important, definitely part of what's helped make us successful. And I think it's if this is something that you're going to do again more than once, you have to get that part figured out.
That's such a great point. it's so much of art and science to get that balance right. I do see firms who feel that they can get on this journey of doing 2 or 3 acquisitions a year, and I think they think much more about the financial benefits of that, but don't think necessarily about the operational bottlenecks and the cultural challenges that they're going to have to face in trying to integrate them. And so it'll be interesting to see, what these firms look like, 5 years down the road, when they probably have done some acquisitions, but are probably having some issues with, like, what is the brand now of my new company, right? Mm-hmm. What is the image of that new company? So great topics. I think we covered a lot of things. Anything else you wanna bring to this if you're talking to a medium-sized MSP and selling them on the opportunity to join your organization or a larger platform? Anything else that you think they should think through?
Look, I think we covered the availability of capital and what that means from an investment perspective. I think, even if you had the capital available, these things take time to build. So you're joining a platform where these service offerings that you may have been missing are already not just available, but established with expertise, is absolutely, the kind of the best path to creating growth, in your market beyond what you can do on your own. And then on the people side, again, I think remembering that we're in a services business, and yes, it happens to be IT services, but in any services business, right, the value is in the people. It's in their skill set. It's in their relationships. So again, this is where the culture thing comes in. You have to. That's a big piece of the value that you're buying. You have to create an environment where those people can flourish and stay and help you be part of that growth story.
Yeah. Christian, can I ask you this question from Dataprice's perspective, in terms of the size of organization that you would be looking to buy, right? Or in terms of maybe the vertical that you're looking to get into, or maybe the geographical location.
Sure.
Do you have preferences on any of these 3, sort of dimensions that you can speak to?
Yeah, I mean, I can touch on all 3 of them. So from a size perspective, if someone was to ask me, hey, what is that sweet spot? What is the size businesses that work well for your model? I would say it's businesses that are between $1 million of EBITDA and $5 million of EBITDA. I think that is our sweet spot. Below $1 million of EBITDA tend not to have the operational maturity that we're really looking for. They tend to be very owner centric, maybe not have that next level of management. So $1 million on the kind of the floor, and then on the high side, look, bigger companies are great, but ultimately in this industry, companies over 5 million of EBITDA, they tend to look at joining private equity groups to be a platform and probably do what we've been doing over the last couple of years. So it really leaves a sweet spot that is, again, 1 to 5 million of EBITDA. We are very focused on owners that want to be part of the growth story. So, if they're looking to retire full time and go play golf, like, probably not a great fit, right? We are looking for owners that want to be part of it and be part of growth.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
So that's on the size. From an industry perspective, we are industry agnostic. We tend to do well in industries that have higher amounts of regulation. I think that's not just a Dataprise thing. I think MSPs in general, they tend to be better buyers of IT. They understand the cost of downtime. They understand the cost of a data breach. They are shopping value, not just price. So I think we do better in those industries. But we are absolutely industry agnostics. Oftentimes when we look at acquisitions, their industry mix is very dependent on where they are. We bought a company in Houston. No surprise, they have oil and gas as a strong industry for them, right? So that's part of it. But we're industry agnostic. We're not targeting any specific industry. Who's the third one?
From a regional perspective.
From a regional perspective. So we've done 9 acquisitions. 8 of them have been in what I would call kind of tier 1 markets. Markets where there's an NFL football team, a major airport. Markets that have lots of opportunities for growth. We did one this year in a smaller market that's in Wilmington, North Carolina, and that market is growing incredibly quickly. So there's one of two things. Either you're in a big market where the opportunity is already there. There's lots of small and medium-sized businesses that you can, you put the resources in, you can grow and expand into, or a market that's growing and you're going to get in and you're going to be on the ground floor and you're going to grow along with it. Those are the two markets that's lots of. There's lots of those, right? If you look at a map and where we already are, there's lots of those, either markets that are already tier one markets that are grown and established, or fastly growing tier 2 and tier 3 markets that we'd love to do. So not any one or two geographic areas, just kind of looking for those criteria.
That's interesting. We've been doing some sort of bottoms up research around different cities in the US, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities in the US, and kind of ranking them based on small and medium-sized businesses per MSP that exists in that region, and the growth rates of these small and medium-sized businesses. That just as a way to say, okay, how much market can I penetrate into that small and medium-sized businesses per MSP, and then what is the growth rate of that sector in general? And certainly there are certain areas where I thought that the tier 2, tier 3 cities look really attractive because they might not have had so many SMBs, but SMBs per MSP were higher. So then there were certain flashes of cities where they were really growing really well as well. So I think that you're right on the money in terms of, okay, we focus on tier 1s, but there might be tier 2, tier 3 opportunities which are looking really interesting. And I wonder whether that's where the market begins to go, going forward. Well, I mean, this was a really great conversation, Christian. Always a pleasure to talk to you about all kinds of topics. I can't wait to get this out and have people listen to it. And I can't wait for you and I to do another one in the near future. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Thanks, Christian.
Thank you.